All right, and we're back for part two of my top TV shows and movies of 2020. I I last talked about The Boys, which is a show on Amazon. It's a rated R drama mixed with some comedy, but mostly a drama. It's a black comedy, it's a crime thriller, and it's a really good story all the way through. This was season two so far, 16 episodes, 8 for season one, 8 for season two. Highly recommended. This show and three other shows, um, I follow like immediately after the show. Maybe I give it a few hours. I would follow the some some YouTube channels do what they call breakdown. They break down the episode and they show Easter eggs that we may have missed, or they give insights to what we might not have noticed in the show, and I follow those things. So for The Boys and two other shows that I would, well, I guess I might as well mention them now. I might as well go into them. Lovecraft Country and Watchmen, and both shows are from HBO. I always follow breakdowns because there are many insights to those shows and The Boys. So let me go into Lovecraft Country right now. Lovecraft Country. Lovecraft Country. Lovecraft Country is a show. It's a horror show, but it's not always horror. In IMDb categorizes it as drama, fantasy, and horror, which is, that's more like what it is. It's very, very dramatic. There are many serious moments. It's fantastical, and there's a few horror elements as well. The summary says a young African American travels across the U.S. in the 1950s in search of his missing father. Honestly, I don't know that he's in search of his missing father. I think that's a wrong summary. It's just an adventure. They're just looking for whatever. It's an adventure TV series, and different things unravel in the various episodes. People get put on other people's skins. It's a very racial show. I forgot to mention the creator. The creator is a woman. Is an African American woman called Misha Green, and she has done an amazing work. I was thinking of whether unthinkable or something, or undoable, but the work that she and her team have done for this show is nothing short of freaking spectacular. It's a show based on a book. Funny enough, it's based on a book written by, I believe, a racist. But they used some elements in the book to create a TV series. It's very interesting dynamic there. The other executive producers are J.J. Abrams and Jordan Peele. I know Jordan Peele likes to tell black stories from a horror perspective, and it's freaking amazing. Welcome T-Shex and welcome Jen Wanfa. I'm not sure who you guys are, but welcome. I'm talking about my top TV shows and movies of 2020. I'm currently on Lovecraft Country. There were 10 episodes. I believe they're about an hour each, and it's a show that centers on race a lot, and they use some real life people or characters to tell the story, or they're like secondary characters to kind of show that even though it's a fictional show, but they're tying it into real life African American past and slavery times, and excuse me. Excuse me. Real life, what African Americans were going through at the time during 1950s Jim Crow America, and racist tensions in white America, and police brutality, so on and so forth. So it's really amazing. There's a lot of visual effects. There's a lot of I want to say animals. Is that what how you say it? Characters, and there's some creatures in the show. It's a very convoluted story. It's really it grips you, like you don't want to stop watching. It really grabs you. It's really great. It's really great. So watch Lovecraft Country on HBO. The other one that I want to talk about, which is part of the three shows that I always watch breakdown videos after each episode. The other one is Watchmen. Ooh, my God, Watchmen is like a miracle. I don't know how they did it. This is a TV show. There's only season 1. There might not be a season 2. It was created by Damon Lindelof, who co-created Lost and worked with J.J. Abrams on a bunch of other movies and TV shows, including the Star Trek, the 2 Star Trek reboots, and some other things. He's done a lot of things. He put his everything in this show. He put his everything. This show and Lovecraft Country are, I would say, they're sisters or cousins. More like sister shows because they're from the same parents, HBO. It's also there's a whole lot of okay, this one is not all about racial tensions. There's maybe 1 or 2 episodes that center very, very, very heavily on race relations and white supremacy. But it definitely started out with a Tulsa massacre in 1940 something, I can't remember, and it okay, but the show is set in modern day, and it's about an undercover group of vigilantes that take the law into their hands. They call them the Watchmen. A movie was made back in 2009 by the guy that made Batman v Superman and the Superman movie, whatever his name is. Let's see, Watchmen movie director. Watchmen movie director. The director is Zack Snyder. Yeah. The TV series is very different from the movie. The movie was very, very tied to the comic, and they did not deviate from that. But Damon Lindelof decided that it's a great opportunity to tie the TV show into what's going on today, and which was perfect timing because of the Black Lives Matter protest that happened this year. And so the leads are black, and it starts out with this like I was talking about, Tulsa massacre, where after the abolition and black people were free, they set up a whole town of businesses which were getting to be very successful. They were already successful. They were so successful they nicknamed them Black Wall Street. So bankers and stores and so on and so forth. And black people were already were already prospering. And then this these group of white people, they had said from some kind of a rumor that a black boy maybe sexually assaulted a white woman, which was a lie, and they came and burnt down the whole place, the whole of Black Wall Street, and that's how they just they wiped out a whole what would have been generational wealth from that Black Wall Street. It was pretty disastrous and very, very sad. And many people don't know that story because they don't tell it in schools. Don't tell it in the history books. It took a TV show to become the history teacher, and that's when I first heard about it. And then when I heard about it, I heard other people talk about it, and so on and so forth. And but the show is not all about that. The show is all about very many different. I think every episode the show centers on a character or something, and there are many. Oh man, the way they weaved in the story. This guy is a big fan of non-linear storytelling, as you can tell from Lost, and they would tell a whole story of this guy called Ozymandias in some kind of world. You don't know where he is, where things are going on, and then you don't find out until 2 or 3 episodes deep. And each episode is about an hour. Why he's there, how he got there, and how he's going to get out. So your mind is constantly going to be running to be like, to fill in the gaps of what you don't yet know, and the TV keeps you engaged that way. And the production, the costuming, the music, the editing, the camera angles, you're like, how did they do this on a TV budget? That's because nowadays there's no such thing as a TV show anymore. It's all movies, or it's all just content that looks movie scale. It's pretty amazing. It's mind-boggling. It shows you how much money HBO has. This subscription thing really worked out for them, which is working out for Netflix as well. Funny, there's one Netflix piece of content here, which I'll get to later. But Watchmen, and it won a bunch of Emmys, nominated for much more Emmys. There was an emotional speech by Damon Lindelof. You guys can check that out on probably either the Emmy channel on YouTube, or someone else put it in on YouTube. It's very emotional. It shows you, because he got a lot of flack. Anytime you try and tell racial stories, that is very, very, very real and very very real, I guess, you're gonna push a bunch of buttons, and maybe that's where the emotion came from. But it was great. All right, let's move on to. I haven't talked about Curb Your Enthusiasm. Oh, another HBO show. So 3 HBO shows in series. Curb Your Enthusiasm is a show by Larry David, who co-created Seinfeld. And man, oh man, oh man, I think he even did better on Curb than on Seinfeld, because Seinfeld was there was no cursing. It was all TV ratings. In terms of what did they call it when you cannot swear on network TV? I guess there's only one rating on network TV, which is interesting. I never thought about it, because in movies there's PG, there's G, there's rated R, there's whatever. But network TV, like NBC, Fox, whatever, it's like just one, which is, they don't even, there's no breakdown, because it's just, you can't swear and you cannot show sex. You can have violence, but I guess Americans don't care about violence, so you can put violence in anything and it can still fly. Anyway, so Curb Your Enthusiasm on HBO, you can swear, but there's no nudity. There's sex, but no nudity, and the sex is always funny sex. But it's mostly about Larry David, who in real life in the show, he was successful from Seinfeld, and now he has an office, but mostly he just goes about, interacts with his neighbor, friends, and other people, and hilarity ensues. In this last episode, he literally had no job. That he opened a Spite store next to a coffee shop, because the coffee store owner did not adhere to his complaints and did not fix stuff, like the coffee cup gets too, so the coffee gets too cold by the time it gets to him, or the table is wobbly, didn't fix it, or the whatever muffin or whatever it's called is too hard or something, and the owner didn't fix it. So he opened a store literally right next to his and called it a Spite store and reduced prices so that the other guy would go out of business. That's how much, one, of money he has, and two, no job. It's just, I know they always say that they don't write these episodes and they just have an outline, and the actors will just come in to to say whatever. I don't know how much I believe that, because if there was no scripts, how do they say memorable lines that don't sound scripted? Like, it's not stilted, but you couldn't come up with these great lines that actually work through. I think they're lying to us a little bit. But that's how good the show is. And Larry David he's an old man. He's not a young cat. Larry David age. Larry David is 73 years old, and he's at the prime of his career. I'm showing on Google his net worth is $950 million. Jesus Christ. And yet he dresses like a homeless guy. I mean, it's really... he's doing very, very well for himself. Even at his old age, he's still very spry. And he still runs and still does stunts on the show, wrestling with people and so forth. And it's almost like when he was 40 years old, he stayed at 40 for the next 3 decades, because he still looks that way. Very thin, very slim, works out a lot, and he just has a naturally slim body. It's a great show. No episode is bad. There's no single episode. How many seasons now? Probably maybe like 10. Curb Enthusiasm. Let me see. 10 seasons. Of 10 seasons, 10 episodes each, so literally 100 episodes. Right on that marker. So that's Curb Enthusiasm. Watch it. It's great. That's the end of all the HBOs. No movies yet so far. No movies yet. No movies yet. Let's do... Okay. This show called The Flight Attendant, and I believe it's on HBO Max. So HBO Max is the streaming version of HBO. The Flight Attendant, I don't know who the maker is. I just decided to click play. I saw Kaylee Cuoco, who was on Big Bang Theory. And it's a comedy drama. She's an alcoholic. And she's a flight attendant. And she pallied up with someone on the plane. Got off in, I think, Thailand or something. Had a good night with the guy. She woke up in the morning. The guy was stabbed. His throat was cut. Sorry about the visual. And the show is about figuring out who killed him while the police suspecting her. It's well written. It's well acted. It's like the best of a network TV show like that. It's a network TV show without the constraints of it being a network TV show. And so it's kind of, I'm not sure if they swear on that show. I think they do use the F word. She's an alcoholic, so she's dealing with that. And it's like a whodunit, crime series from a female's perspective. And it's good. That's all I can say. It's good. And it's almost great. Almost great. It's good. Almost great. Whatever. But it's definitely not boring. Yeah. But I'll leave it at that. Let's see. Someone said that Better Call Saul season 5, which is on AMC, is good. Obviously, it's a spin-off of Breaking Bad, which was also on AMC. Breaking Bad to me is the greatest drama of all time, and not just to me, but to many people as well, and many critics. And Better Call Saul, I remember watching season 1, season 2, whatever, and I just kind of dropped off. But many people are recommending season 5, so maybe when I have time, I'll give it a watch. Because it should. Even the Better Call Saul was good, well written. It's just sometimes they take their time and they stretch scenes out, but whatever. It's good. It's good. All right. I didn't see it, but I heard it's good. Let's move on to the best movie I believe that I saw this year. Is an action movie called Extraction. It was made by Netflix, and Extraction is acted by the Thor actor, Chris Hemsworth. It was directed by Sam Hargrave. Sam Hargrave is a stuntman and a second unit director on many Marvel movies and other movies like the John Wick series, or not John Wick, well, maybe one of those John Wick, or the one with the South African actor, the female John Wick, and actress. And it's produced by Joe Russo and Anthony Russo because Sam Hargrave has worked with them on the Avengers movies. It is, to me, they redefined action in this movie. There are a few movies that have redefined action in my life. The Matrix, Lord of the Rings, maybe some other ones like the John Wicks and the South African version. The South African actress one, and this one. This one redefined action in just, they actually show the action without cutting. There are many long takes, and they show that it's the actor that is doing it. And you're wondering, how is that happening? There's a particular gunfight, close quarters gunfight, where the guy would take the gun from this other guy and shoot, and it would quickly cock it, reload, cock it without even using the second hand, because second hand is grabbing a couple of guys' heads and is dodging close quarters, and you're wondering, this is freaking insanely good. And then when I watched the making of, I think the guy did one of those breaking down, let me break down my movie as a director. It's a big computer table where they can draw or whatever. And he talked about how during that scene, they were shooting in India, they couldn't get the right guns, the right fake guns that would actually would make a sound or something like that. That they had to use even more fake guns, and so they had to add the muzzle flash and the sounds later on, where normally you would have some muzzle flashes, or what, I can't remember. But it was even more of a challenge, is my point. You'd watch the making, you would see the director strap himself to the hood of the chasing car, and by the time the car, is about to hit another one, he would raise his legs up, holding the camera, like he literally got into the action. It's just a story about some kind of black market guy, black Navy SEALs, whatever guy that does it for money. He does a job for money, and he was asked to go grab a kid that, the father is in prison, and some bad guys wanted to kill the kid. So his whole task is to extract the kid from the bad guys and keep the kid alive. And that's the movie. Very simple storyline, but the action is amazingly good. And I think Netflix said something about it was, at the time, it was the most watched movie ever. It says in July 2020, Netflix revealed the film had in fact been watched by 99 million households in its first 4 weeks of release, the most ever for one of their original films. So very successful. Obviously, it wasn't released in theaters. It's a Netflix film, but still, they got a lot of views on it. So that's Extraction. Many people forgot that a movie that came out, I think January or February of this year, and actually came on in theaters because we hadn't yet gone into lockdown, is Bad Boys for Life, which is the third movie in the Bad Boys franchise, with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. This time around, wasn't directed by Michael Bay. It was and wasn't even produced by Michael Bay, which is interesting. Maybe it was somewhere, but directed by Adil and Bilal, which are two younger guys. And I heard that they're going to be doing Beverly Hills Cop 4, which I believe is a good decision because they handled this movie very well. I recorded before the movie came out, I recorded my reaction to the trailer, and I saw a lot of DNA that the directors took from Bad Boys 1 and 2 and put it in the new one, to kind of continue the trend and some gags and callbacks and so forth. and they did a good job. They did a good job. It's not a movie I'll rewatch. I think the action is a little bit is sometimes it's good, sometimes it shows that there's some green screen going on. And obviously the guys are older, so they played into that they cannot do they cannot, Will Smith cannot be jumping with two guns and shooting in midair. He's too old for that. So in this movie he would jump but to fall on some kind of skateboard or one of those car shop things that they used to work on the underneath of cars, and we use that to roll and shoot. So that was the version because it's too old. There's some really emotional parts which I enjoyed. It's a funny movie, and it's a movie about the younger crowd in the Miami PD, and they're always making fun of the old guys saying they're old, and the old guys making fun of the young guys saying they're too young and inexperienced. It's good. It was good. I enjoyed it. I saw it in theaters. Came out when? January, very beginning of the year. Yeah, made a lot of money. Budget was 90 million. It made 426. And you notice that this is the only one that I can talk about the budget and box office, because it was actually released. Every other one was either a TV show or wasn't released in theaters. And I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was exactly what I thought it would be, and which is not a bad thing. That's Bad Boys for Life. It was released in theaters, and I'm sure you can watch it on streaming somewhere. Who knows? Another one that was kind of a surprise that I actually was emotionally involved with is King of Staten Island. King of Staten Island. I need to drink water real quick. King of Staten Island excuse me, was written and directed by Judd Apatow. Also written by the star Pete Davidson, who is on Saturday Night Live, SNL, and another guy, Dave Sears. And it's about just these guys' like daily life, pretty much. Let's see what IMDb's summary of King of Staten Island is. I guess his name is Scott in this movie. Scott has been a case of Arrested Development since his firefighter dad died, which in real life, Pete Davidson's dad died on 9/11 in the towers, which is very sad. He spends his days smoking weed and dreaming of being a tattoo artist until events force him to grapple with his grief and take his first steps forward in life. It's a really, really good movie. It's really, the good movies are the ones that have an emotional core. That's really how you get emotionally involved. I started this whole video talking about being emotionally, the movies that got me emotionally involved. Rotten Tomatoes hold it at 74%, which I think that's a bit harsh. I think it would definitely cross 80, maybe even 85 for me. Pete Davidson in real life, that's on the show, in real life on the show on SNL, he talked about his mental illness, and he makes fun of it at all. He makes fun of it a lot, and he also talks about it in this movie as well. His character talks about it, but he doesn't talk about it in a demeaning way. He talks about it in a kind of funny way. There's something wrong with my head. That's why I'm behaving like this. That's kind of like the vibe. And there are a lot of firefighters in the movie, and some of them tell him about his dad because he worked with him. His mom is dating, and he doesn't like the fact that his mom is dating who he considered a dick, but the guy ended up not being so. I know there's a scene where a neighbor asked him to walk the kids. Actually, that particular person that the mom was dating, the divorced wife kept the kids. So the wife asked Pete's character to walk the little kids to school, and the picture is like this guy with all these tattoos on his body, skinny, always smoking weed, doesn't look like he has his life together, walking a couple of kids to school. It's a little sketchy. It looks sketchy, but Pete is a guy with a good heart. He's a good person. So when he got to school, the teacher was asking the kid, "Did he do anything to you? Do you know this guy?" And instead of him being like, "What are you talking about?" He actually played into the joke that, "No, I just met him off the street and I'm walking them." And when the kids say, "Yeah, he's alright," he's like, "I trained them. I taught them how to say that," or something like that. So it's really, it's a really good movie. Unfortunately, it came out during the whole pandemic thing, which almost pretty much every other show on the list, they were all shows, so it was okay. But this one was a movie, and but the director wanted it to get released anyway, so it got released on premium video on demand. I don't know which actual. They released it digitally on premium video on demand, but that doesn't tell me anything. And I watched it on one of those things. Okay, it says it's on Amazon. It was on Amazon Prime, iTunes Store, Comcast, whatever, Apple TV, Google Play, everything. It was released on everything except for Netflix and HBO Max. Google, YouTube, Spectrum, DirecTV. And it was good. Alright, so those are the movies I enjoyed. Movies and TV shows that I enjoyed. I'm sure there's a few that maybe I didn't think about, but those are the ones that are very memorable and the ones that I've seen a few times over and that really grabbed me emotionally. I'm going to talk about my letdowns. That's the title of this part. Letdowns. My letdowns. My letdowns are Tenet. The Christopher Nolan written and directed movie about time inversion and it's a spy thriller, it's a caper, whatever. Whew. It was the movie I was looking forward to the most this year. It was a letdown because one, it was too complicated. And not just that it was too complicated, there were many holes in the plot that didn't make sense and made it hard for the viewers, the watchers to follow. On top of that, the sound mix was bad, purposefully bad, where the music was too loud for the dialogue and you couldn't hear what they were saying. What kind of freaking decision is that? I know that they did it in the social network and during the club scene. That makes sense. When you're in the club, the music is so loud, you kind of have to shout and it's hard to hear. That made sense. And it was just for that one scene that David Fincher did. But in this movie, the whole scene, even if nothing is playing, but the orchestra that the audience hears is too loud for the dialogue. It was a very bad decision. And I think, everybody calls Nolan an intellectual filmmaker, and he is. But I think this one, he went too into that whole false intellectual thing. And even the action sequences weren't good. It was a big letdown. Let's just say it was a bit letdown. And he really marketed this movie himself. He wanted it to be released in theaters, and it was. Let's just say it broke even. Ludwig Göransson, who scored The Mandalorian, also scored this one. I didn't even like the score. It was just a bunch of reverb kind of thing, just like Batman Begins, but worse. I'm looking for the Rotten Tomatoes, 70%. I would say go lower because King of Staten Island was around that, which was way better than what Tenet was. Anyway, Wonder Woman came out on Christmas Day. 2 movies came out on Christmas Day, Wonder Woman and Soul, and I think both of them, to me, okay, Wonder Woman was a letdown because it was very cheesy and very campy, and not in a good way. And there were many story holes, and it was a complete tone change from the original, which was dark, gritty, and realistic, and this one, which was campy and basically a children's cartoon in live action form, and again, not in a good way, in a very campy 70s way. And let's just say, I mean, you've heard all the reviews. The action sequences were good. Only one was good. The chasing was good. Every other one, I guess the opening Olympic kind of Greek Olympic thing was good, and then the mall one, I bought the cheesiness of that one, but every other part of the movie was just cheese galore and just story holes and many things that didn't make sense. Literally, I watched a video where from the Real Rejects where they made a video about all the things that didn't make sense, and it was very sarcastic and it was very funny. And then Soul from Pixar. Every now and then, Soul, especially writer director Pete Docter, goes into his head and does these conceptual movies. I call them movies about concepts. Inside Out is one, I think, and then Soul is another one. And people have described Soul as an unofficial sequel to, but in a way, if you know the story, prequel to Inside Out, because Soul is about how souls are formed before they get released and before you're born. How your soul assignments are formed, how your souls are assigned. And it's on paper, it's a good movie, but it did not grab me emotionally. I think they are always trying to make you feel emotional about something that it's almost like that's a goal, and they just want to make you cry. But if that's your big big goal, stop it. That shouldn't be the main goal. The main goal is to tell a good story, and I think they're becoming too concept driven. Let's just say they missed the mark for me. I wasn't emotionally involved. Some people said they cried at the beginning. For what? Because someone died, ish. Yeah, which is in the trailer, by the way. I didn't like it, and I'm not a big jazz person, but I kind of like the jazz part, but it wasn't for me. Let's just forget about that. Trial of the Chicago 7. By the way, Wonder Woman was released on HBO Max. Soul was released on Disney Plus because Disney owns Pixar. Trial of the Chicago 7. It was good. Written and directed by Aaron what? Jesus. Trials of Chicago 7. The film. Aaron Sorkin. Yeah, this is his second movie that he has directed. The first one was Molly's Game, but he's a long-time writer, famously known as the best writer in Hollywood. One of them, probably one of the few best writers in working in Hollywood today. And it looked good. Didn't grab me emotionally. It's telling an old story about the Chicago 7 who are anti-Vietnam protesters. I don't know much about that era, and I don't much care about that era. Had nothing to do with me. But it looked good. But sometimes Aaron Sorkin he's becoming too predictable. All his movies sound the same, the way people talk. The dialogue has the same musical ring to it, and he's becoming kind of tired and trite at this point, and he should try let's just say he's not that versatile. He has one tone type of dialogue, and it's a very good tone of dialogue. It's excellent. But when you hear the same thing over and over and over again from the same guy, you're like, is this all you got, dude? I mean, what you got is good, but is this all you got? Is that, you know? So it was for me, it was very forgettable. I think the Rotten Tomatoes was great, 90%, but it didn't grab me emotionally. The last movie I'll talk about is Borat, the subsequent movie film, which is literally the subsequent movie of the first one. I'll just say that it seemed a little forced, this one, all Sacha Baron Cohen's things, but a few scenes caught the news, like the one with Borat, subsequent movie film, the one with former New York mayor, what's his name? Rudy Giuliani literally got caught with his pants down. It was all very slimy and very weird, but there was a girl in there, his daughter, and she was good, she was great, you know, in the confines of the movie. But many people know Borat, and many people know his shtick, So they cannot do, they have to find ways to get people to not know him and stuff, or to find people who don't know him. I guess it was good, but it's not a movie I'm really gonna watch again. It's good. It was good, but it was a letdown for me. Didn't grab me emotionally as the first one did, and I knew of Borat when the first movie came out because it was a TV show before that, so I knew him anyway. Anyway, I'll stop there. Quick summary, because this is part 2. In part 1, I talked about Mythic Quest: Raven's Banquet from Apple, and there was a quarantine episode which was great and very emotional. Another Apple show called See, which is about people who are blind in a distant time and land, but on Earth. The Mandalorian by Disney, Dave, which is a Hulu TV show. These are all the great shows, by the way. Brooklyn Nine-Nine's, I think, 7th season was great. The Boys on Amazon was great. Curb Your Enthusiasm, always great. Never a bad season or episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. The Flight Attendant, which is a new one, great. Then these 2 shows about racial disparity and racial tensions, Lovecraft Country and Watchmen. They're like sister shows, both by HBO. Really great. Watchmen was exceptional. Better Call Saul, I haven't seen, but I've seen a few seasons, and I've seen Breaking Bad, which is, to me, the greatest drama of all time, and by many critics as well. Season 5, people say it's good. I haven't seen it, but I'm talking about it anyway. Extraction by Netflix, the best movie I've seen this year. Bad Boys for Life, I love the first 2, and the third one did not disappoint, but it wasn't that great. It was, 1 and 2 are better. Let's just put it that way. And the surprise hits by me is surprise hits that I really enjoyed. King of Staten Island. I love the I didn't talk about the performances, but everyone was amazingly great in that movie, and it was funny and well done, very real. I forgot to say that Judd Apatow has established himself as like a modern comedian, a modern comedy director that makes movies about like regular guys and the people around them, and he's gotten very good at that, and he has launched many careers like Seth Rogen and what's the Dave Franco, and he did not launch this guy in the King of Staten Island, but he put him in the last movie he made, which was called, let's find out, let's plug it in because my phone is complaining. Okay, he put him in Trainwreck in just one short scene. I think it was already on SNL at the time, I'm not sure, and it was good, it was great. So now he has Judd made a full movie with Pete Davidson. And that's it. Those are my favorite TV shows and movies of the year. And let's have a good 2020. Happy New Year to everyone. Enjoy. Bye-bye.